So, I want you to think about something for a second. What if everything around you, everything you see, everything you feel, your entire reality, is just an incredibly advanced computer simulation? Today, we're diving deep into one of the biggest, most mind-bending questions out there. Okay, let's get right into it. Think of us as cosmic detectives for the next few minutes, all right? We're on the hunt for clues, and we're investigating this truly wild claim that our whole universe might just be a simulation, kind of like a super advanced video game. Now, I know this sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but believe it or not, humanity has been asking these kinds of questions for thousands of years. The case file on what's real, well, it's been open for a very, very long time. I mean, you can go all the way back to the ancient philosopher Zhuangzi, who dreamt he was a butterfly and then woke up. And he couldn't stop wondering, wait, am I a man who dreamt he was a butterfly? Or am I a butterfly now dreaming I'm a man? And then you've got Plato's prisoners who thought shadows on a cave wall were the entire world. All the way up to Descartes worrying that an evil demon was tricking him. We have always been fascinated by that blurry line between what seems real and what actually is. So to really tackle this mystery with a modern perspective, we've got to look at a huge clue that comes from modern physics. And this one, well, it changes the entire game. The brilliant physicist John Wheeler came up with this phrase, it from bit. And the idea is, honestly, revolutionary. It suggests that every physical thing, the it, a star, a rock, the atoms that make you up, it all comes from something that isn't physical at all, information, the bits. So at the most fundamental level, reality isn't stuff, it's data. And the philosopher David Chalmers just nails it here. I mean, if the universe is fundamentally information, if it's all just code, then our whole investigation just took a massive turn, right? Because now we have to ask a totally new question. Who or what wrote the code? And that leads us to our two prime suspects in this cosmic case. Both of them start from that same it from bit clue. But oh man, do they end up in two very different places when it comes to what our reality actually is. So on one side, you have the holographic principle. This theory suggests that our three-dimensional reality is just a natural projection, like a hologram, of information that's actually stored on a distant two-dimensional surface. Then, on the other side, you have the simulation hypothesis. This argues it's not an accident at all. It says our universe is a computation that was deliberately designed, a program that's actively being run. And this quote just perfectly captures the idea. Think about it. To Mario, his 3D world is totally 100% real. He has no clue that his entire reality is just a projection of code that's running in a 2D environment, a game cartridge. So what's the real difference between these two theories? One says it's just nature. The other says it's a designer. But what if there's no programmer on the outside at all? Get ready for this, because there's a third theory, and it's even more radical. It takes this whole simulation idea and just flips it right on its head. Okay, this is the self-simulation hypothesis, and it pictures the universe as a strange loop. So it starts with this cosmic universal consciousness that basically thinks the code of reality into being. Then the universe, and eventually life like us, pops out of that code. But here's the twist. Our consciousness, as it evolves, eventually becomes that original universal mind. It creates this crazy self-sustaining loop where the universe literally creates itself. So the key takeaway here is that this theory tries to solve that classic old problem. Well, who created the creator, right? It just sidesteps it by saying the universe is its own origin story. It's a system that boots itself up from its own consciousness. It's a really wild concept to wrap your head around. All right, so we've got our suspects lined up. A natural hologram, a deliberate simulation by an outside force, or a universe that's simulating itself. Now let's crack open that case file and look at the actual evidence for and against the big one, the simulation hypothesis. So the case for simulation has three main clues. First, it's just a numbers game, the odds. If any civilization, anywhere, ever figures out how to create realistic simulations, they're probably going to make billions of them. That would mean there's only one base reality, but countless simulated ones. Statistically, it's just more likely we're in one of the simulations. Second, our universe has rules, hard limits like the speed of light. It almost looks like a processing speed cap on a cosmic computer. And finally, the laws of physics seem perfectly, almost suspiciously, fine-tuned for life to exist.
To some people, that looks less like a random accident and more like a deliberate design choice.
But on the flip side, the case against is really strong too. A lot of critics say this isn't even science because you can't prove it wrong. I mean, think about it. Any evidence you find against the simulation could just be dismissed as, oh, that's just part of the program. Then there's the computing power issue. Some argue that simulating our universe down to every last particle would take more energy and resources than actually exist in our universe. And as one physicist put it, blaming the programmer isn't an explanation. It's just a fancy way of giving up on finding a real one.
Okay, we have looked at the history, the clues, our prime suspects, and the evidence from both sides. After this whirlwind investigation into the very fabric of reality, where does that leave us? What's the verdict?
And the verdict is, the case is still wide open. And you know what? Maybe that's the whole point. The real value of this idea isn't about getting a final yes or no. Its real power is that it forces us to look at reality as information. It's a question that pushes the absolute limits of science and philosophy and makes us ask, what does it even mean to exist?
Which leaves us with one final and kind of provocative thought to chew on. If that it from bit idea is right, if our world really is built from code, what does that mean for the future? Could reality itself someday be hacked? Thanks for coming along on this investigation with me.